What's up, guys? Welcome to the Quarantine. I'm your host, Wolf, and today we're going to take a look at a game that's currently seeking funding on Kickstarter called Hoard by Cheeky Parrot Games. Now, Hoard is a set collection game where you are encountering a dragon that's basically sleeping in a pile of treasure, standard D&D style, and you're trying to steal as much of the treasure as you can without waking up the dragon. Now, if you like what you see here, I'll have a link right up here that should take you directly to the Kickstarter. I will also have a link down here in the comment section as well, or in the description, sorry. But it is a set collection game with a little bit of a take that kind of aspect to it. So, let's take a look how the game plays, shall we?
Alright, this is basically Hoard set up ready to play. What you're going to do is you're going to take the 3 dragon cards, you're going to put them dark side up. The opposite side has the awoken dragon. Then you're going to put 12 cards surrounding those 3. And you're going to take your meeple and you're going to choose a pile of treasure. You're going to set your meeple on it. That's just where you start. Then each player is going to get 5 cards from the deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have the 5 cards here. And then the play is going to go ahead and proceed. Now, I do have to let you know that, of course, everything you see here is, of course, prototype. So it is subject to change when you get your final product. But on your turn, you have a few actions that you're allowed to do. The first action, and probably the most common one you're going to be doing, is to roll and move. So you're going to take this die and you're going to roll the die and you're going to move this number in left or right, similar to a game like Relic. So I rolled a 1, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to look at this card. So I got a blue gem. I can choose to keep this card, and if I do, you will add it to your hand of cards. Or I can decide I don't want that card, and you will then draw a card from this deck instead. If you do take this card, you can replace it with a card from your hand, or replace it from a card from the deck. If during this engagement here you roll this little symbol here, this means you can stay where you are, or you can move up to 5 in either direction. I also do need to state, if you replace a card from the deck, or replace this card with one from the deck, you do get to look at it before you place it. So it kind of becomes a memory game of going, okay, there's a black ring, I know where that is, so later on down the road, if I need it, I know where it's at. The other thing you're allowed to do is you can set down a set. Now, to set down a set, it has to be no less than 3 cards of the same type of treasure. The types of treasure are a bag of gold, a ruby, a gold chalice, a blue gem, and a black ring. So in this case, I have 3 bags of treasure. So you can set that down. This has to do with scoring at the end that I'll get to. The other action you can do is you can add to an existing stack, but you have to add to an existing stack with no less than 2 cards. So I wouldn't be able to add 1 more bag of gold to my stack here. I would have to add 2 bags of gold. Now, one thing I do need to point out, you do have the treasure chests. Now, treasure chests are wild. They count as whatever you want them to be. But if you play one, you see down here, you awaken the dragon and make a Targaryen happy. So you would flip over this tail. If at any time all 3 of these flip, the game is immediately over, the dragon is awoken, and he is very angry, everybody's stealing his treasure. But we didn't, we just played it here. We didn't awaken the dragon. So we have 4 cards there. And we awoken the tail. The other thing you are allowed to do is you can play bones or shh cards. Now this one has both on it. A lot of them are just a single shh card or a single bones card. But you can play this. And if you play this, you do either side in this situation, or you just do what the card says. A shh card will take the dragon and quill it back to sleep. A bones card will flip over another one. So in this case, we now have 2 parts of the dragon awoken. But the reason you may want to play this is for 2 reasons. A, if you're winning and somebody's closing the gap, you might want to hurry the heck up and awaken the dragon so that way nobody else can get points. The other reason is if you have a combination of 3, no more, no less, but 3 combinations of shh and bones cards in front of you, that is worth 5 points at the end of the round. The last thing that you can do is you can attack a player by playing a sword. Now, if I play a sword, I would choose a player. So let's say I choose my wife, and I go, "Wife, I'm going to attack you." Now, my wife has a couple options. If she has a shield, she can play the shield and steal the sword from me. If she does, this pair is worth 1 point. So a pair of sword and shield, regardless of who has it, is just worth a point. If she cannot play this shield, then I would get to look at her hand and choose any treasure, any card, period, that I want out of her hand. And I can keep it, or I can just give her one of my cards, or I can take a card and then also give her one of mine. And I know what you're thinking. Why would you want to give them one of the cards? Because one of the other end game triggers is if you start your turn with no cards in hand, then everybody else just gets one last turn. On top of that, which I'll get to a little bit more, cards in your hand are bad when the game ends. They're worth negative points. So you might want to get rid of some of the crappy cards that you don't need. They're not going to do any good for you, or do anything good for you. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. But that's basically how you play Hoard. And when you get to the end game, the way end game works is each card in a set like this is worth 1 point. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, because those are all technically bags of gold. Then each treasure chest is just worth a point, so this here is worth 5 points. This is worth nothing, but let's just say hypothetically I had 3 down. So I had that. This would be worth 5 points, so I'm looking at 10 points so far. And let's say I had a sword and a shield. So I'm looking at 5, 10, 11 points. So, and then when you look at your hand, any cards in your hand, it's any treasure cards, any or sword and shield do not count. It's just treasure. Count as negative. So right now I'm looking at 11, 10, 9, 8. I have 7 points at the end. Everybody adds up their points, and then first place gets 2 coins. Second place gets 1 coin. And then you shuffle everything up and you do it again, and you play until somebody has a total of 5 coins. And that's pretty much how you play the game. It's pretty quick. So let's go to my final thoughts, shall we?
Alright, so Hoard. Hoard fits into the same category as games like Coup, or The Lost Legacy, or Love Letter, or any little micro game that you can pull out. It plays in like 10 minutes. It's not really complicated. My 9-year-old daughter loves it. And it's something you play 2 or 3 rounds of, and it's done and over. And the game can last 2 minutes, or the game can last 20 minutes. It just really depends on how everybody's playing and how in-depth everybody's going. The longest game I've had, I'd say, was 20 minutes, maybe. That was because there was a lot of like awakening the dragon and putting it back to sleep, and you were replacing cards with cards in your hand instead, and nobody was really pulling cards out of the deck a whole lot, and so it wound up being a very big back and forth, and so it's a lot of fun. You can play optionally the whole, play till somebody gets 5 points total. If you have time, it's a great way to play. But most of the time that we wind up playing it, they're usually just one-shots. Let's pull out Hoard. It is a lot of fun. I'm wanting to say it's $20 on Kickstarter currently. Again, there'll be a link right up here. They'll take you directly to it. It is a fantastic little game. Definitely, I'd say worth $20. As I say this a lot, I've paid way more for games that I would play less. Again, this is something you should. I don't know how big the normal box will be, but my wife will toss this in her purse. This is just the lid, but this is how big that box is. Really small. And there's actually room left over in this box, about this much, that isn't even being used. So I'm sure they can shorten it down even more. But that is Hoard. Good little take that set collection game. Check it out by, Cheeky Parrot Games. I keep forgetting the name for some reason. Check it out by Cheeky Parrot Games. I'm sure they'll appreciate the support. If you like what you see here, you can support me on Patreon. I will also have it up here and in the link. And I will see you guys next time in the quarantine.